Hello, wonderful humans. Welcome back to Board Game Dads, and happy Dinosaur Day to you, Eric.
Happy Dinosaur Day to you as well, Anthony.
So, there's been a bunch of these holiday spotlights that we've done by this point, and usually the dates are pretty easy to pin down. However, I found a little bit of trouble here determining when this International Dinosaur Day was. There's been conflicting dates in my research here. I've seen the date of May 18th as well as June 1st. So I decided that since May 18th is already passed, and we'd have to wait a whole year before we did it again, we're going to go with the June 1st one just because it works out in our favor. So there's that.
I like it.
But yeah, dinosaurs. No lack of dinosaurs in board games these days for sure. And I think that there's are still a pretty wide variety of types of games that have these dinosaurs in them, despite there being so many. And we'll just have to wait and see which ones we talk about in a little bit. But before that, what do we usually do?
Honorable mentions.
Honorable mention. You have more than me as per usual. So why don't you go ahead and give me one or two first?
Okay, so the first one is 2 games, and I don't know. Let me explain.
Okay.
Kickstarter for Dinosaur Land. What's the game called?
Island?
Dinosaur World. And so my wife kickstarted it, and it also comes with like a dinosaur roar and write, like a roll and write.
Mm-hmm.
So haven't played them, don't own them yet, but they're paid for, and they will be sent to us. And we're both very excited because I've never played Dinosaur Island, and apparently Dinosaur World is kind of like maybe a streamlined version where they got some of the kinks out and made it a little bit easier to play and understand. From what I heard, I could be wrong. And we love roll and writes, so a dinosaur themed roll and write, roar and write,
Roar.
Right down our alley, of course.
Roar.
And speaking of roll and writes and dinosaurs, we also have another game called Welcome to Dinosaur World. It has nothing to do with Welcome to. It's its own separate roll and write game. We haven't played it yet, though. So that's actually 3, and I still have another one for my honorable mentions. So I'm just going to go ahead and just do them all. So the 4th one is Cardline Dinosaurs. Now, for anybody that's not familiar with the Cardline or the Timeline series, it's basically like a deck of cards, big cards, and like tarot-sized cards. And each one's got, in this version, the dinosaur version, each one's got a picture of a specific dinosaur, the name, and then it has like the era that it was in, like the Jurassic period, Cretaceous. I don't know.
Cretaceous.
Cretaceous. Okay. Cretaceous. I kept on trying to do Cretaceous, and then I was thinking Croatia. I got all banged up. Thank you for correcting me. And so I think it has like their size and then their weight. So when you play a game, you choose one at the beginning of the game. We're going to go by weight, and you put out like 2 cards, and then you have a hand of cards, and you want to put it out so that you guess the right weight or whatever you're using compared to the cards that are already out. Like you want to put it in order. So if this one weighs, I don't know, it's probably kilograms, maybe pounds. I have no idea. This one weighs like 300 pounds. And you think this one weighs like 500,000 pounds or something crazy like that, then you're going to put it to the right of the one that you think weighs less. And that's the game. And you want to get rid of all the cards in your hand. They all have cool pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun. It's, if you've played one card line or timeline, you've played them all. We only own one, and it's got dinosaurs.
There you go.
I wanted to mention that.
So at the beginning of the game, you pick one of those attributes, and then that's it for the whole game, right? And
Yes.
it doesn't change. Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
And the object of the game is to put out all your cards correctly, because if you get it wrong, you got to draw another card.
Right. I like that option. That's pretty interesting.
So what your honorable mentions?
Mention. and it's been mentioned by you in passing already, and that is the original Dinosaur Island.
Right.
It's honorable mention for me because I've only played it one time. I do not own it, but to refer back to what you were saying about the new version, yeah, Dinosaur Island has a lot going on. There's just a lot to it. It was definitely fun, but complicated.
So let me ask you a question. How
Yeah.
long did it take you to learn the game and play the game while learning it all together? Is that like a 3 hour task?
I
Because
don't
it seemed
really remember, but I'm gonna guess it was probably 2.5 to 3 hours.
got it. Yeah,
Um,
it seems like that kind of complexity for a first game.
yeah, and it was a four-player game that we played also. So
Ooh,
yeah,
yeah, two
and
and a half hours probably isn't bad for that.
I think maybe two of the four of us had never played, or I might have been the only one, and the other person played once or something like that. But I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was definitely a game that I finished, and I was like, all right, I would play this again. You know, get the feel for what's going on. So I'm very interested to check out the newer version that you're going to get your hands on. Maybe that'll be
Nice.
cool.
Dinosaur Island's got some cool like 90s style neon colors too.
Yeah,
It's got quite the color palette.
yeah. It's definitely stands out. That's for sure.
Sort of like this background here.
Yes. Well, there's no subtlety there. That's for sure.
Hey, we don't know
Um,
what color dinosaurs were back then.
that's true. And I'm glad you said that because dinos are really something that almost every kid is interested in at some point, even if it's for a short period of time. Boys and girls. I mean, it's this thing that you learn about for the first time in a book, and it's crazy because you don't see these things, right? You even in this day and age, you can't go watch a YouTube video about a dinosaur. I mean, you can, but it's going to be obviously like animated.
It's going to be Jurassic Park is what's going
Well,
to
yeah,
be on YouTube.
right. But yeah, they're a wondrous sort of mythical thing to it. So a lot of attention when you're a kid, I think, to the dinos. Did you have a favorite dinosaur as a child?
I like the Brontosaurus.
Mm.
I like that big tail, big neck. Now, there was also, I think, like the Diplodocus. They were both very similar, and maybe the Brachiosaurus I'm thinking of. One of them had like that weird bump on the head with like the air holes or something.
I
I don't
think
know what
that's
they're
the
called.
brachy. I think that's the
They're
brachiosaurus
certainly
one.
not called air holes. But I didn't like that one as much. I thought that was a weird little thing. I just wanted a cool looking, like your typical Brontosaurus head. And that I like that one a lot. That was cool. And there was another one, and I think it was the Dimetrodon, the one that's got like the mohawk going down the back.
Okay.
Let's see, is he on this thing? He is not. So yeah, those are two of my favorite. How about you?
Um, I mean T-Rex for sure. Just that was like the closest thing to like a dragon, right? That like existed.
Right.
And I do love the Stegosaurus. It's more of a it's almost like the Stegosaurus was like a kid's creation, right? It's like I'm gonna put these giant things on the back, and then like the ones that have like the spikes on the tail, and like I thought it was cool that an animal like that could defend itself to an extent against something like a T-Rex because it had
Right.
all this like armor on it. It's crazy. Um, but even when you look up or see like a video of like a really big alligator or like a Komodo dragon, like the first time you see those things, you're like, holy crap! Like this is like a tiny glimpse of what these giant things look like,
Yep.
and it's a bit freaky at first. But I digress. Let's get into some more games here. As usual, Eric and I have 2 picks each that we'll be bringing out, and then maybe we'll even mention a couple things along the way that we forgot about. Eric, you want to kick us off here with your first one?
Sure. First game I want to talk about is called Evolution. Now, my wife and I bought this game, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago, and so it's an older game in the collection, and we've since bought the Flight expansion, the Climate expansion, and then we just bought Oceans, and now we don't play Evolution anymore because Oceans is a better game.
Ah,
But it's still a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the Flight expansion and the Climate expansion don't work together.
really?
So, yeah, so we can't play all of them. But I will. There's also, I believe, there's the newest version of Evolution that comes out, like maybe the second printing or something. is like Evolution Climate, and it has that expansion as part of the game, and it's a great expansion. It definitely makes the game a little bit better.
Okay, so wait, then you wouldn't be able to get that. You wouldn't be able to play the flight expansion with that new version of the game.
No,
That's weird, isn't it?
yeah, and I didn't know that in the first time. Like I tried to play all three together. My brother was over. We were trying to play the game with the climate and the flight and the regular game, and it took me like 20 minutes to realize they didn't work together. So, oh, look, it says it right here in the rules.
That's interesting. I don't know that I know any other games that is a thing. I'd be curious to know.
I'm sure there's some, but no, I can't think of any either. Anyway, so the game Evolution, I guess you sort of have like an action point allowance, and it's a hand management game. Basically, it's a hand management game. You get like a species card that'll have areas to determine what your population is and what your body size is. And you can add traits. There's maybe like 15 or 16 different traits, and then there's some carnivore traits. And each trait will allow you to do something different. Some of them might allow you to get a free food when a dinosaur to your left or right eats. Some of them might allow you to be the first one to eat from, the food pool. I forget what it's called, but there's like a pool of food, vegetables, not meat, because the carnivores can't eat the I gotta look it up. What is the food pool called? The watering hole. I knew it was something. So all the food that goes in the watering hole, all the regular dinosaurs take turns eating one at a time. Some traits might allow you to eat two of them, and so each one will allow you to do something different. And some of them will give you defense against carnivores, and you can put as many of them as you want on a dinosaur, or you can use those same cards and just discard them and increase your body size or your population. And then carnivores can't eat, like I said, carnivores can't eat from the watering hole, but when it's their turn during the feeding phase to eat, they just attack another dinosaur whose body size is smaller, and then their population is decreased by one.
So is there a strategy in the game where you can kind of just focus on one or two and like really build them up? Or do you want to kind of get as many as you can?
Now, most of the time we've played this game, again, 2-player games. And if you're trying to be a carnivore, it can be a little take that-y. That's not a good word. But whatever, it can be a little competitive because you're trying to attack them. And, oh, well, they just want to create this. All right, well, I'm going to make a carnivore and I'm going to kill you and eat your last, population. And then you just wasted a turn. So it can be like that. So we've played games before where neither one of us wants to be a carnivore, or we're scared that the other person's going to be a carnivore. So we're trying to add all these defensive cards so that you can't attack me. And so it's a lot of, I'm going to do this to stop you from doing that.
Okay.
So that's not really our style game. And in Oceans, which is something we'll talk about later on, not tonight, later on this summer, in Oceans, it's different because there's certain cards that are very, take that again. I'm losing the word. They're very take thatty. What word am I looking for?
I mean, I know that's not a word, but I'm pretty sure other people would probably describe it that way as well.
Okay. But in Oceans, the game tells you, oh, if you don't like these cards, you think they're too mean, take them out of the game. So we're like, oh, okay. So every time we get a card that we're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm just going to like destroy you, like two of your, you just take it out of the game. And then it's not as bad. Anyway, so Evolution, you're creating dinosaurs, you're creating new species, you're giving them these different traits, or you're becoming a carnivore, and you can attack your own animals as well. So if you become a carnivore and I can't eat any of your, I'm going to eat one of my other dinosaurs just to get food. And at the end of the game, all the food that you've eaten throughout the game, all the traits that you have out on dinosaurs that are still alive, and all the dinosaurs are all worth 1 point. Whoever has the most wins.
Okay.
So it's fun. But unfortunately, it's been replaced by Oceans.
Now, when you say replaced, do you mean that there might be a chance someday that you will get rid of the game Evolution?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's got dinosaurs in it. We'll play it, but like whenever we want to play that kind of game where we're creating our own species, we're probably going to go towards oceans because, I love oceanic creatures and all that kind of good stuff. Sharks, octopus, squid. And that's all I got for evolution. Again, actually, if you haven't played evolution and you get it and you like it, but it's missing something, get that climate expansion because it really adds enough to the game where you're like, oh, okay, I see how this is going and I like it. It just gives it just enough to bring it back to the table.
Okay. I played this game once with you. I don't know if you had the expansion at the time. I don't remember liking it too much, but I could have just not really understood what was going on for a good bit.
Yeah, maybe I did a poor job of teaching you.
Well, the Oceans one sounds cool, so I would check that out for sure.
I love the Oceans one. It's closing in on my top 10.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, so my first game here is a 2-player only game, and it has one of the most iconic dinosaurs thanks to the movie that we referenced a couple times already, and those are the velociraptors. This game is called Raptor, and again, 2-player only. One person is playing the role of the mother raptor trying to protect and save her babies from the other player who is playing as a group of scientists whose goal is to sedate the babies and study them for research. And it is asymmetrical. Both sides do not play exactly the same way. They do have the same type of deck. So this is one of those games where you have a deck of cards 1 through 9, I think it is, and both players have those numbers, right? But each card, the ability is different for the dinosaurs versus the scientists.
Got it.
And in this game, you select one card face down secretly, and when you're both ready, you reveal what it is, which I like as a mechanic in games in general. And basically, in this game, you compare the values of both the cards, and whoever played the higher value card gets to do what's on that card. But the lower value person gets action points equal to the difference, right? So it balances the game in an interesting way, because let's say you play your 8 and I play my 3. Your 8 card is probably really good and lets you do a bunch of stuff because it's powerful. It's an 8. But I'm going to get 5 things to do in this sort of generic action pool of things to do.
That's interesting. I didn't know that was one of the mechanisms.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've definitely played as both sides. I think the dinosaurs are a little easier to win as, but I don't really recall enough to make a definitive statement on that.
That's the problem with asymmetrical games sometimes.
Yeah. But because it's 2 players, you can, you play it enough times, you can definitely get a feel for which side you'd like better. You can always play the game back to back. It's not that long, so you can just switch it up. I'm scientist this time, you're dinosaurs this time. And it comes with really cool little miniatures of little dinosaurs and a mother dinosaur, so you get to do the whole rah-rah-rah thing, and the scientists are all different poses, so that's pretty cool too. A little modular board, just some tiles it sets up, and there's 2 sides to it. One's more like a grassy one, and one's kind of like, I don't know, I guess deserty kind of thing. Yeah, kind of. Speaking of, there are 3D little rocks here, which are kind of fun. So you put those around the board in different spaces, and they're kind of obstacles, and it has a chess-like feel to it in that you're moving around a very small board.
Right. It seems to be a pretty abstract kind of game.
It is. It is an abstract game, but it's usually when we talk about abstracts, if there's a theme at all, it's pretty thin. I think this one is good. Like, the theme is there enough where it makes sense. It's a lot of fun. So Raptor, good 2-player game. I think I mentioned this before. I don't think this game gets a lot of attention anymore because of the Unmatched series that's been out for a while now, where they have a legit Jurassic Park version. So it's the real raptors from the movie. I never played that, but I'm sure it's fun.
So I gotta interject for just 1 second here.
Hit it.
Like most kids, especially boys, as we talked about earlier, I love dinosaurs growing up. I never heard of a velociraptor until Jurassic Park. And it was just, it's like, oh yeah, and they're talking about it like it's the coolest dinosaur. It's like, and they're really smart. They hunt in packs and everything. I had never heard of that. And I'm watching it, and I think my first taste of the movie was like, oh, like this movie is basically about velociraptors, which is a dinosaur that I have no like emotional connection to. So it was a little bit of a bummer. But now here we are, 25 years later. I love the movie. I like velociraptors. They're not my favorite, but I know a lot more about them than I know about most other dinosaurs because of the 4 or 5 Jurassic Park movies. 5, right?
I don't know. I lost.
I think there was 3 with like the regular people, and then there was 2 with I don't know, Star-Lord.
Chris Pratt.
Peter Quill.
There you go. Peter Quill and his magical dinosaurs. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't think I knew about raptors until Jurassic Park either. But man, Jurassic Park was what an amazing experience that movie was. Watching that for the first time.
Great movie.
Yeah, yeah. But the first time you see that is just incredible.
Oh yeah.
Music and the sound effects, insane.
And the dinosaurs.
And literally the dinosaurs, yeah. Cool. All right. What's your second game here for Dino Day?
So my second and final game for Dino Day is called God's Love Dinosaurs. And so this is a more recent addition to our collection. We got this within the last, 6 months or so. Probably. I think we got it on Kickstarter. And it's a tile placement game. It's got these hexagonal tiles, but there's 2 of them next to each other. So you got to pick like a dual hexagonal thing.
Okay.
And so each hexagon will have one of 3 different terrains. There's lakes and forests and fields. And so on your turn, you take one of the 2-sided things from anywhere on this board. And if it's the last one in a column, then you do like an associated action on the bottom, where if it's the bunny one, let me get there actually. So there's on the tiles, you put them out and there could be an animal picture. The fields have rabbits, the lakes have frogs, and the forests have rats. And if you put one out and it's got that animal on it, you put that animal out. And those 3 animals are prey.
Okay.
And then there's other tiles that might have a saber-toothed tiger or an eagle, and they're predators. So when you put them out, you put out, one of the predators. And there's different actions on the main board. And like I said before, if you take the last tile from a column, then you'll do that action and everybody will do it. So let's say the last tile is taken from the rabbit column, then all rabbits on everybody that's playing's board will activate. And that just means that they'll multiply. So if there's a field, it's got to be a field. They can't move from a field to like a lake or a forest. Then you can put them an extra one in an adjacent spot. If there's no adjacent spots, then they can't do anything. And so you do that with all your rabbits, and you basically double the amount of rabbits that you have. And that, or if it's the rats, then you just do that with all the rats. But if it's the predators, then they have specific ways that they can move, and they move around. They eat prey. When they eat prey, they multiply. So that's how you get more predators out on the board. And one of the columns has a dinosaur meeple, like a little T-Rex meeple, and he moves each time a column's done. And once he moves each time his column's done. So once you do the column that has the dinosaur meeple on it, you do, let's say he's on like the frog column. Everybody multiplies their frogs, and then the dinosaurs move. And then you're moving the dinosaurs, and if they eat predators, they lay an egg. And that's worth either a point, or you can get another dinosaur the next time the dinosaurs activate. And so you're just moving around. Dinosaurs are eating predators, so they can get points. Dinosaurs can also eat prey. They just don't give them points.
Okay.
And you do this, and you're trying to get the most dinosaurs out, making the most eggs. Now, if the dinosaurs activate and you can't move from it's like a specific spot, like a dinosaur nest or something. You get 5 movement with your dinosaur. You have to move off of it, eat at least one animal, and then get back to one of those other tiles. You might have a few of them, which you'll need if you want more than one dinosaur. You can't have one dinosaur space and 2 dinosaurs out. That's just not going to work. And the meeples are awesome looking. They're really cool. The The eagles actually look kind of lame. What are you going to do?
Well, it's hard to make a flying creature look cool when it's
It
not in
looks
the
good.
air.
It looks good on paper, but when it's actually just sitting there and you're looking at it from like a downward angle, it doesn't look that cool. But when you see it like straight on, it's cool looking. But yeah, it's a cool game, and you're trying to make as many dinosaurs as you can, so you can get as many points as you can. And you're just moving around eating all the other animals you're putting on your board, and it's fun. And you get to make the dinosaur noises. And I love saber-toothed tigers as well. They're one of my favorite extinct animals. They're just so cool looking with those giant sharp fangs.
Are there any mammoths in that game?
There are no mammoths in that game. I do have some games with mammoths in them, but I didn't think they would count as dinosaurs.
Yeah, no, I don't think they count as dinosaurs. I was just curious because you said the saber-toothed tiger, and then I immediately thought of the Ice Age movies with Ray Romano.
It's funny because the game's called Gods Love Dinosaurs, but it only features a T-Rex. It doesn't have a whole bunch of. You would think that if the gods really love dinosaurs, they would love Brontosaurus and Stegosaurus and Triceratops and Allosaurus, all these crazy things.
It's kind of a weird name, right, for the game?
It is a weird name. Gods Love Dinosaurs, and
Like,
it doesn't seem like it really has anything to do with the game. I guess technically you're playing a game, you're a god and you're trying to make the most dinosaurs. And sure,
well, that's what I was going to ask you. Does it have that kind of intro to it? Is that the flavor?
Does,
okay.
but when you're playing it, you don't feel like you're a god trying to make a bunch of dinosaurs. You feel like you're a board game nerd trying to get a bunch of points, which is exactly what you're doing. But when you look down at the board, you got these cool meeples, you got these colorful land tiles, and I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, this is on my list of things that I'd like to play for sure.
Well, come on down.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. All right, so I got a second pick here, which also does feature some pretty cool dino meeples, and that's called Draftosaurus, which is such a great name for a game because it tells you exactly what you're going to be doing, right? You're drafting dinosaurs. So in a lot of drafting games, usually passing cards around, sometimes maybe tokens or something like that. In this one, you literally are sticking your hand in a bag and pulling out a bunch of dino meeples, and you're going to secretly choose one that you want to put in your park, and then you pass the rest to the person next to you, and you get a new hand of dinosaurs. Basically, the board is split up into 6 sections that you can put dinos in, 7, including the river that runs through the middle of it. And each one has a different stipulation on how it's going to score. So, for example, one part of the map is you're going to want to have a pattern. So 2 types of dinosaurs alternating, right? A, B, A, B, A, B. Maybe there's another section that has, only room for one dinosaur. But if you have more of that kind than your opponents, you'll get X amount of points. So there's lots of different ways to place the dinos, which does lead to a good amount of strategy for a relatively simple game. The other thing I love about this game is it has 2 sides to the board that are different. One's summer and one's winter. So they both have 6 different ways to score. The game is so fast that at least when we only play 2 players, we almost always play both sides of the board because why not? It's just so fast. It's great. It's another one where you get to play with the little dinos, and it just looks cool on the table. They're all different colors too. It's just really great. A couple of expansions I know are coming out for this. I would really like to get my hands on them. I think one of them is specifically ocean dinos. Nice. I don't know if they have a special name, and then there's one with flying.
Pterodactyls.
Yeah, that whole genre. So I don't know if I'm hoping it also comes with different boards. I would like to see another, maybe 2 different new layouts for the park. That'd be kind of cool. Or maybe I don't know, an extension to the park, like a sideboard or something like that. Have you played this one?
I haven't, and I really want to. I've seen it, and I almost pulled the trigger on it a few times, and I just didn't.
Yeah, I think you guys would like it.
I think so too.
My only knock on the game. Well, so the bag is too small. The bag that comes with the game for the put your hand in. You need a bigger bag.
Who can make a better bag for that game if you'd like.
I think I replaced it with a bag from another game, or like a nondescript bag from somewhere else. But anyway, the other thing that's kind of weird is because they're all different shapes of dinosaurs, and you're drafting them. It's sort of unlike a card game in that you're going to kind of feel. I guess if you really wanted to, you could feel what they were, right? Like when you're pulling them out. I mean, I don't do that. I don't think many people do. But the other point of that is also that because you're passing this handful of wooden tokens, it's hard to kind of keep it like a complete secret unless you have this just I don't know. It's weird. So and then you're like holding them all and try to find one as opposed to holding a hand of cards. It's so easy to conceal them, right? It's like you're like under the table with the pieces and like taking the one out. But really fun game. I like this one a lot.
I think when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, cool!" And there was only like 4 different types of dinosaur meeples, and I was like, "Oh, that's it." And then I just went on to the next game.
How many are there? I think there might be 7 or 8 actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Try to think.
Yeah,
Well, they're all colors. I know the T-Rex is red.
It's got to be a Stegosaurus.
Yeah, he's, I believe, yellow. There's a Triceratops for sure. There's a Brontosaurus for sure. And then I want to say there's... I don't know if it's a raptor. No, I don't think so. I'm looking at our background now. I think there's one that's... the one that kind of looks like a raptor, but it sort of has like a elongated, kind of like horn sort of shaped head.
Oh, yeah.
Doing a good job of describing that, but I think that's one of them.
It's got like a snout.
Yeah,
almost like a crocodile snout, right?
Kind exactly. Exactly.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, there's one of those too. So maybe there's like 5 or 6. But anyway, expansions, I'm all for it.
Hey, when you come down to play some Gods Love Dinosaurs, bring Draftosaurus.
I surely will. I taught this one to Chris one day, and he bought it almost immediately.
Nice.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for us here for International Dinosaur Day. Eric, anything else you want to add before we head out?
Have a happy International Dinosaur Day, unless you celebrate it on May 18th, and then just watch this video in like 11 months. Also, can I do my dinosaur roar?
Oh, by all means.
There we have it, folks.
Well done.